Hello there, beautiful people. I'm Brittany, and today I want to share about my latest travel hack I'm super excited about, and that is fasting while flying. Let me tell you what I've been doing. So, you may or may not know, I love to travel. For the last, I don't know numbers, 8 years, 6 years, something like that. Definitely for the last 6 years. Let's go with that. I've been pretty much traveling full time, living out of a backpack, just traveling around the world and loving the heck out of it. And also, you know, some elements of travel can be stressful. For example, flying for 15 hours on an airplane is not necessarily ideal. I don't find it to be ideal. There's things that I really dislike about it. And over time, I've noticed with the frequency that I travel, it's become more and more important to feel like every element of my trip is serving me, that it's adding value to my life, that it's as ideal as possible. When I was, before I started traveling full time, I would take international trips a few times a year, maybe like once or twice a year, and I'd have longer flights, not necessarily 15 hours, but anywhere from like 4 to 6, 7 hours. And it was like fun, and I didn't really find it that hard. Felt like maybe I was like on an adrenaline kick, excited about my trip ahead. So excited to be leaving, like taking vacation from work or school, these different things. But now that it's become such a frequent part of my life, I tend to be in a place for like a month or 2 months. Once in a while, I'll be in a place for like 4 months. That happened once this past year. But in general, I'm traveling so frequently that I'm flying regularly. And it's become something that I've really wanted to find different hacks for to enjoy it more. Some time ago, maybe like, 3-4 years, I wrote a blog post about how to love air travel. So if you want to hear more of my tips on that, you can check that out. This updated tip has been serving me so much, and it's something that I've wanted to do for a really long time, and for various reasons, it just didn't align for me until this last trip. In December, I flew from Hawaii to Thailand. And then a few days ago, it's now the end of January, I flew back. Is that right? Yeah, I was there for 2 months. I flew back to Hawaii. So basically I had a couple of really long flights. I had like a short flight from Chiang Mai, Thailand to Bangkok, Thailand, then a flight from Bangkok to Osaka, Japan, then a flight from Osaka, Japan to Honolulu, and I will have a flight tomorrow from Honolulu to LA. The way the flights have worked out coming back, that's like 5.5 hours, 7.5 hours, 5.5 hours, and going there it was something similar, but more like there was an hour added onto each flight or something like that. Airstream, I don't even know. So basically those flights are decently long, but not terrible. That's because I started booking itineraries that felt better for me. Usually when I fly to Asia, or in the past I've flown through China, and doing it that way I tend to get a really long flight, something like 12 to 16 hours. And it was just feeling pretty terrible to be on a plane for that long in a row without a break. So I decided to book better itineraries. And then to take it to the next level, I decided to do this thing, which is fasting on my flight. I've done it in a couple different ways. So fasting, I'm not really using that term properly. Fasting means to abstain from, and I could say like water only fasting, like I was just drinking water on the flights, or liquid only fasting, and that would be more accurate. So the big thing that I decided I didn't want to do was to eat while I'm flying. And in general, to not really eat much that whole day, or like before my flight specifically. Or if I was gonna eat, like the first time I flew from Hawaii to Japan, I ate some papaya that morning, and then once I got to the airport, I was just having liquids. And luckily I flew with AirAsia and they have coconut water for sale. So I just had a couple of coconut waters on the flight and a lot of water, a lot of just like regular filtered, purified water. And the difference that I felt was amazing. So I decided to keep doing that, and I did the same thing with water and coconut water the rest of my trip to Thailand and now the rest of my trip back. There are a couple of reasons I think that this has been so amazing for me. One is that I found that when I fly, I don't digest food well. In general, I don't digest food well if I'm stressed at all. And even if I'm feeling pretty relaxed, there's something about being in that environment that feels stressful to my system. Also, I'm sitting in this position where it feels like any food I eat just sits in my belly, and it's not pleasant. I did develop this technique because like I would get such bad bloating and gas that I would like go into the bathroom and put my knees up on the toilet and just like kind of try to invert myself, because that helps me relieve gas. And it would help to some extent, but I was just like, on one of the times when I was like inverted in the airplane and got turbulence and I was kind of having a whole experience in there, I realized like, why the heck am I eating food? This is ridiculous. And there's a part of me when I fly that wants to eat a lot of food. It's almost like, I think it's a comfort thing. I'm trying to comfort myself. I'm trying to feel more grounded. And I've never been able to achieve it through food. It's not actually a helpful tool in those moments. But I have found that not having food, focusing on hydration, has been a super helpful tool for me. Because being dehydrated, I think, is also very common for me when I travel, and especially with air travel. Also, it takes so much of our body's resources to digest our food that those resources could be going towards something else. And during the flight, I'd really rather have them going towards taking care of my body, feeling relaxed, and acclimating to my new environment. Which brings me to my next thing. I feel like I have been able to arrive more fully in my new environments so much better this way. I've been able to sync up with the new time zone better. Again, like been able to feel more hydrated and just more in my healthy flow right away without this time that feels like hangover time or have to recalibrate because something weird was going on. Also, it's just interesting to sync up with a new eating schedule when you're going through different time zones, and this helps with that as well, or it's helped me, I've found. Oh, also, can't be forgotten that it is way easier for me to travel this way luggage-wise, because I only travel with my 19-liter backpack with my belongings, but I often would have this, I'd use my stuff sack bag and just fill it with fruit, and it was heavy and a pain in the ass. And then when you get to a new country, you're not supposed to have fresh fruit anyway, and I would go through like, sometimes I'd try to bring it through, sometimes I'd just throw it out. It was just like a lot more to do and a lot to lug around. There were times I traveled with like 2 entire watermelons with me because I felt like if I was gonna bring something on a flight, I wanted to have juicy fruit because that's what feels best for me. And I just found like having dates or even like bananas didn't feel as good for me. So there you go. There's another awesome reason why it's been amazing for me not to have to carry around food with me when I travel. For those of you who may be wondering, no, like I don't have a magical way of taking liquids through security. I just, like I mentioned, bought those coconut waters on my flight and filled up my water beforehand, either with bottled water or filtered water, and made sure I had plenty of water with me. Another thing that you could play around with if you're interested is like getting a smoothie or a juice in the airport, or even something like the some of the bottled ones like Naked juices. They're more like smoothies, I guess, but that's also another good option that's not going to be as taxing on your body and definitely more hydrating. I'm just so excited about this, and I feel like I'm just a baby on this journey. It's just the very beginning. I've been talking to friends of mine who have been doing this for so long and they rock at it, and I'm just so impressed by them and inspired by them and excited to keep taking this to the next level for myself. But meanwhile, I've experienced it enough times, like whatever, 6, 7, 8 flights, and have loved it and want to share why I think it's so awesome. So I hope you like that. I hope that adds some value to your life. And yeah, I've got some other travel hacks I'd really love to share with all of you. So feel free to stay tuned and I will send more your way.